The 2025 FIFA Club World Cup is officially here, and to be honest, I know absolutely nothing about this competition, but nonetheless, in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions for the group stage matches. In today's video, I'm going to be predicting the group stages of the Club World Cup and predicting which teams I think are going to advance into the knockout stages and which two teams sadly will be eliminated. Before I get into these predictions, I just want to let you guys know one more time that I know absolutely nothing about this competition. I don't know what it's for. I don't know how the teams got into this competition. And I don't know how the winners of the Premier League, Liverpool, the winners of the Serie A, Napoli, the winners of the La Liga, Barcelona, the winners of the Portuguese League, Sporting, are not even in this competition. I don't know what the requirements are to get into this competition. It looks like it's a mixture of teams from Europe, Africa, Asia, the Americas, but that's all I know. So without further ado, let's get right into these predictions. Now, starting off with my predictions, let's go into Group A, where we have Ahly, FC Porto, Inter Miami, and Palmeiras. Finishing in 4th place, I'm gonna have to go with Ahly. They are an Egyptian club, and supposedly they're the most successful club in football history. They've won like 130 trophies, and they won their domestic league like 40 or 50 times, something ridiculously crazy. But coming up against Inter Miami, Palmeiras, and especially Porto, I just don't think that an Egyptian side will have the quality of players to beat any of these big teams, and for that reason I do think they will finish in last place. Finishing in 3rd place, I'm gonna have to go with Inter Miami. Now, I don't know how they got into this competition. They only established their club like 7 or 8 years ago, and it's basically a retirement home for ex-Barcelona players. We got Messi, we got Suarez, we got Jordi Alba, we got Busquets, and we got Mascherano, who is the manager of the team. So I don't know what's going on with Inter Miami. I don't know how they got into this competition, but I don't think they will advance past the group stages. Now, finishing in 2nd and 1st place, I think in 2nd place, it will be the Brazilian side Palmeiras, and in 1st place, obviously, European giants FC Porto. Before I move on, I just want to say don't sleep on Palmeiras in this competition because they have a lot of very good players. If you look at their attack, they have players like Vitor Roque and even Felipe Anderson, and also the wonder kid Estevao, who a lot of people have their eyes on. And in the midfield, with players like Richard Rios, they have a very underrated squad, and I think they could make it pretty far in this competition. Moving on to Group B, we have Atletico Madrid, Botafogo, PSG, and Seattle Sounders FC. Finishing in last place, obviously it's gonna be the American club Seattle Sounders. How Seattle Sounders is going to be against PSG, the best team in the world, I have no idea. I would be surprised if they get a win in this group. Definitely finishing in 4th place. In 3rd place, it's gonna have to be Botafogo. Now, obviously, they are not a bad team. They're a pretty good team in the Brazilian league, but coming up against Atletico Madrid and PSG, there's no way they're making it out. In 2nd place, I'm gonna have to go with Atletico Madrid. Now, they have had a pretty good season. They finished 3rd place once again in the La Liga, just behind Real Madrid and Barcelona. But their squad as a whole is very, very good. We see some incredible midfielders, obviously in the attack with players like Alvarez and Griezmann. They're very, very experienced players. They have a very good squad, and I think they could go once again pretty far in this competition. But finishing in 1st place in Group B, it has to be the best team in the world, PSG. They have the best attack in the world, absolutely incredible. But even their midfield, their defense, their goalkeeper in Donnarumma, they have such a versatile squad, and under Luis Enrique, I think they are the best team in the world, and in this competition, I think they are the favorites. Moving on to Group C, we have Auckland City FC, Bayern Munich, Benfica, and Boca Juniors. Now, I think that this could be considered the group of death because I think 3 out of these 4 teams are very, very good and very historic clubs. But obviously, the one imposter in this group is Auckland City FC. It's like the smallest club in this competition. They're a small club from New Zealand, and the fact that they're in this competition is absolutely crazy, and I wish them good luck, but there's no way they're finishing anything other than 4th place. Finishing in 3rd place, now I think this might be very difficult between Boca Juniors and Benfica. I think that Boca Juniors are a really underrated team, and they could possibly make a push to finish in 2nd place, but I think Benfica are slightly better. They are still a very good team in the Portuguese league. They didn't win it this year, but they are still a very good team, a very historic club in Portugal. And for that reason, I think Boca Juniors will finish in 3rd place, Benfica will finish in 2nd place, And obviously in first place, we have the German giants Bayern Munich. Moving on to Group D, we have Chelsea, Esperance, Flamengo, and Los Angeles FC. Chelsea got put in my opinion, probably the easiest group in this competition. Now, no disrespect to Esperance, Flamengo, and Los Angeles, but come on, like against Chelsea, versus these teams, Chelsea are easily going to win every single game, probably score 5 to 6 goals a game, and finish this group with a plus 15 goal difference. Finishing in last place, I do think it will be Esperance. Now, I've never heard of this team. They are from Tunisia, and I have a lot of respect for Tunisia and Tunisian people. Obviously, I'm Italian, and they're just across the sea. But in this competition, coming up against some of these teams like Chelsea, there's no way Esperance finishes in the top 2. I just don't think it's possible. Finishing in second place, I'm gonna have to go with Los Angeles FC. Now, another retirement home for some European greats. We see players like Giroud and Hugo Lloris in their team, but there's no way they're gonna make it out of this group. There's no way. I think that Flamengo are a much better team than Los Angeles. I think the Brazilian league is very, very underrated, and the top teams in that league are much, much better than the MLS teams. So for that reason, I got Los Angeles finishing in third place, Flamengo finishing in second place, and in first place, obviously, it is going to be Chelsea. Moving on to Group D, we got Inter Milan, Monterrey, River Plate, and Urawa Red Diamonds. I'm sorry if you guys were expecting a really in-depth prediction because I don't know enough about these teams. Now, currently, Urawa Red Diamonds sit in third place in the Japanese league, and they are a decent team, but coming up against these other teams, I don't think they stand a chance. Now, I do think Monterrey will finish in third place, and last season in the Mexican league, they didn't do that well, so it is possible that Red Diamonds could overtake Monterrey. I think Red Diamonds could beat them, and Red Diamonds can finish in third and Monterrey in last place. But for now, I'm gonna say Red Diamonds in fourth, Monterrey in third. Now, to be honest, for first and second place, I think this will be very, very close between Inter and River Plate. Now, obviously, Inter are a better team that have the better players, and most people would expect River Plate to finish in second and Inter to finish in first. But they have been going through a lot of shit recently. Obviously, they lost the UCL final 5-0 to PSG. Inzaghi left them, and they hired one of their club legends, Chivu, who obviously is a great player in history for Inter Milan. But as a manager, he's barely managed. He managed Parma for a little bit, for a few months, and that's about it. So I think that Inter Milan are going to have a very, very rough time in the next few months. But for this prediction, I'm going to say River Plate second, Inter Milan in first. Moving on to Group F, we have Borussia Dortmund, Fluminense, Mamelodi Sundowns, and Ulsan HDFC. From what I'm seeing, Ulsan is a South Korean team. I don't know much about them. Definitely finishing in last place 100%. Obviously, Mamelodi Sundowns are a pretty well-known club. They're in history probably the best team in South Africa, and a lot of people know them for pretty historic things. But coming up against Fluminense and obviously Borussia Dortmund, I don't think they're going to be able to qualify, and for that reason, I'm going to say Mamelodi Sundowns in third place. In second place, I gotta go with Fluminense. They are my favorite team from Brazil. I love Fluminense. I have a few jerseys if you guys didn't know, and I think they have a pretty underrated team. I think they could definitely make it to the knockout stages, and maybe could even win a game or two in the knockout stages. But for now, I do think they will finish in second place. And finally, in first place, it is 100% going to be Borussia Dortmund. Now, this season was a very strange season for Borussia Dortmund because for the first half of the season, they were absolutely horrible. They were not good at all. They were not performing good in the Bundesliga, and they were in the bottom half of the table. But ever since they swapped managers and Niko Kovac came in to manage, they have been much, much better. They won multiple games in a row, and they made it all the way up to the Champions League spots in the Bundesliga. So I have to give credit to Borussia Dortmund and their manager, and I think they will do pretty well in this competition. Moving on to Group G, we have Al Ain, Juventus, Manchester City, and Wydad Casablanca. I think that this is pretty obvious that the two European giants in Juventus and Manchester City are going to advance. I'm going to predict that Al Ain are going to finish in fourth place, Wydad Casablanca finishing in third place. Shout out all my Moroccan people. I think Juve will probably finish in second place because realistically, even though Manchester City didn't have the best season this year, I think they are definitely a better team than Juventus. They have a much better squad. And with some of the recent transfers that they've been making on the market, obviously we just saw Ryan Cherki sign for them. They signed a few other incredible players. I think Man City are definitely one of the favorites in this competition. Anyway, I think Juve will finish in second place and Man City most likely in first. And finally, the last group we got, which I think will be a pretty interesting group. We have Al Hilal, Pachuca, Real Madrid, and Salzburg. Pachuca, I do think will finish in last place. They are a team from Mexico, but not really one of the bigger Mexican teams. So for that reason, I got them finishing in fourth. Finishing in third place, I have to go with Salzburg. Now, normally Salzburg are a pretty good team, but this year, they were not that good. If we remember in the Champions League, they finished near the bottom of the table. They barely even could get a draw. They were performing so poorly, and for that reason, I got them finishing in third place. Now, this is where it gets interesting because obviously Real Madrid are one of the best teams in the world, and I do think they will finish in first place. But I'm very excited to see Al Hilal coming up against Real Madrid. I think that they have a very good team. Obviously, a lot of top talents in Europe go to Saudi Arabia, and majority of them go to Al Hilal. It seems like they have a lot of pull, they have a lot of money. So for that reason, they do have a very good squad, and they perform obviously very well in the Saudi league and in other competitions. So I do think Al Hilal will finish in second and Real Madrid in first, but I think it's going to be a pretty interesting match to see what the outcome is between those two teams. And that is the end of my FIFA Club World Cup group stage predictions, where I predicted which two teams are going to advance in every group and sadly, which two teams are going to be eliminated. If you guys agree with my prediction, remember to leave a comment down below. But if you disagree with my predictions and you think a couple other teams that I didn't say will advance might actually end up advancing, remember to leave your predictions down below and I'll be sure to reply to every single comment. Like I already said, I don't know that much about this competition, so I wouldn't be surprised if some of my predictions are incorrect. But nonetheless, if you guys enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.